first started, I was a boomer. What I did is I literally pulled up actual maps, printed them out, and like hand drew my whole route. Hey, I was trying to be efficient.
We've mentioned this ASIN in the past. It's the Godzillas. So the Godzillas were brand new on
Oh, you
Walmart
were
shelves.
early.
I was early. That
Hot ASIN.
and the Godzilla ASINs weren't scanning at the time when I found it. So you had to title search it.
Going back to how you say that you have this catalog that you rely on, the longer you sell on Amazon, the bigger your catalog that you rely on is going to be. Try to nail in on your why, because that's going to help you decide if it's something that you actually need to be doing. Whenever things get tough, going back to your why and remembering why you started is going to help you be able to power through that. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back to the Doughboys podcast. I'm your host, Logan, joined today by my lovely, stubbly co-host, Flipping It with Cisco. But today, we're changing it up. Cisco is actually going to be acting as a guest and sharing his story. We're going to deep dive into his business and his Amazon journey, so stay tuned. Cisco, thanks for joining us on the Doughboys podcast today. Could you start off, telling everyone your background and how you got into this crazy world of reselling online?
So, yeah, I'm just an average Joe Schmo who his wife got hit with the algorithm of Amazon FBA. And this was during, the World Health event that happened a couple years back. From there, she wanted me to learn how to do this so we can have some extra side cash coming in. Because at the same time, we had just moved into our home, just purchased a brand new home, and we were homeowners. And there's a lot of uncertainty happening at that time. So this would have been some extra cash that could definitely help and add some more mental security. So I was supposed to learn how to do it, teach her the simplest way that I could so that she can do it, because she had a little bit more extra free time than I did at that point in time. But then I never stopped. And then I continued going. And then now here we are with the Doughboys.
Now here we are, and
the quick
hashtag Amazon paid for it, right?
Hashtag Amazon paid for it. That's right.
Cisco is the founder of that hashtag. Don't let anyone fool you.
If you look at if you search it on Instagram and just search just the hashtag, I do have somebody else had the original post, but they're not active anymore. But I revived it and really with the hashtag brought it back to life. And really what it is just whenever you're out about and then you do something that maybe you might have otherwise without this amazing business not have done otherwise. That's what hashtag Amazon paid for.
Amazon paid for it. Love it. All right. So your wife gets hit by the algorithm, decides that you need to learn how to do this to teach her, but you just keep running with it. All right. Mm-hmm. So how did you actually start? What business model and what was your first steps whenever you decided you were going to start this?
Yeah, so first steps, definitely started watching a lot of videos. Shout out Richie Hustles, because he was definitely the entertainment. And then shout out Nikki Kirk. She was the one who really taught me the basics of it through her YouTube videos, right? So I learned what items to buy, what the heck BOLO means, how to get started, what to scan. And because of a video that she posted, which was just scan things, and if you see something new in an aisle that you haven't seen before, that should be one of the first things you scan to see what's going on. That was literally probably the first big hot item that I found, probably before a lot of people, because when I found the ASIN, I was probably one of 10 on it.
Wow.
And we've mentioned this ASIN in the past. It's the Godzillas. So the Godzillas were brand new on Walmart shelves.
Early.
I was early. That
hot ASIN.
And that was the other thing. The Godzilla ASINs weren't scanning at the time when I found it, so you had to title search it. And using that same method, Gabby Dollhouse, I was probably one of 5, the first 5 on that listing. That big Gabby Dollhouse.
Those were some hot bolos back in the day. And now I remember on the Godzillas, they wouldn't come up by UPC. So you had to either title or image search them. And that's a quick tip. If you're doing retail arbitrage and you're out there with your scanning app, if nothing comes up when you scan the UPC, don't let that stop you. And even if something does, you might be able to find a different or a better listing by doing an image or a title search.
Or like the Godzillas, you can find those bundles where if you find every single piece, you can bundle it all together. I think it was for 150 or $160.
And you wouldn't have found that even if it had come up by the UPC. You've got to be creative with your searching and find the specific bundles. Yeah, there was a lot of different ones like that. I think the 2 giant ones you could merge together, and I think I remember FBMing those. Yeah.
FBMing those sucked from the East Coast to the West Coast because of the size. You had to put them in they didn't fit in a small Walmart box. you had to get the medium size, and then you had to Frankenbox it, but they weren't really Frankenboxable, and
They were
just
really
a mess.
awkward to ship.
They were very awkward to ship.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to put in a poly bag, like a mailer, poly mailer.
Right.
So.
All right. So you start out, you're doing retail arbitrage. Shout out Richie. Shout out Nikki. You're learning all these things and doing the bolos. When do you start to transition into, adding online arbitrage into your business?
I don't know. I'll be honest. This whole like Amazon business thing, because I try to dabble in a bunch of different things, all kind of the timeline all mashes up together. But I would say whenever I met you and our friendship kind of became closer as far as.
You mean when you were harassing me on the internet?
No, a little bit after that. So I had already harassed you. So I would say once like the bolos died out, right? Because bolos then were literally there was one hot item every single month.
Yep.
And then for a couple months, it just kind of died out. And that's when I started to transition to OA. And it was, okay. Now I remember the timeline. It was when you went to Delaware and then started your prep center. I was like, all right, well, I have
alpha prep.
I have this advantage. Let me jump into it. And it was great and not so great at the same time. It was great because I was finally doing OA, which in my opinion is definitely a lot more sustainable long term. It was bad because I went from 100% RA to 95% OA overnight, and I wasn't ready for that delay. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that delay.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing is, retail arbitrage is going to be more or less lucrative based on where you are. Like you're in an area where you have like 30 Walmarts within 15 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. And Targets and same thing for basically
that's just
any
one
major
store
RA
where
realtor.
I have to go 30 minutes to start hitting stores. I've got a Walmart that's 15 to 20 minutes away and then 45 minutes to hit all the other stores. And even then it's nowhere near the amount of stores that you have available. So RA is going to be more or less really profitable and long-term sustainable based on where you are. And then for me, OA was much better just because of that geographical location.
But I would say the advantage that you have is one, the population size, right? So you don't have as many, potentially you don't have as many competitors.
I ran into like an 85-year-old guy scanning books one time. This dude, that's some hot
library sale. Right.
It was at the Salvation Army, actually.
And then you had what is it, Monetary Ocean stock your Instagram.
Not Monetary Ocean. He was like stalking my Facebook, and he pulled up to our event in March. So yeah, there's a few sellers out here. Not as much competition,
but there's not many. I mean, look at it this way, right? Like in my area, a big seller that has kind of blown up, KT Hustles, right? He's from my area. So obviously his success, I'm sure he shared it with his friends and his group of friends that he grew up with. And I'm sure that led on to a bunch of other things. And I even remember going into Walmart when the whole Godzilla things were happening. And like two people beat me to the two standalone things that they like put all the Godzillas in the middle and emptied out one side. The thing is that where they messed up is they didn't get the Mecha Godzilla. Those were all mine.
That was a hot ASIN too. Yeah.
Shout out the Mecha Funko Pop too.
All right, so you got the kind of started adding more OA, but it really wasn't slow at all. It was that hard switch. So then you had to deal with the delays of getting stuff in and shipping times, and all that. So that is a hard switch. It's definitely not what I would recommend. How about you?
No, absolutely not. I think again, like you really have to take a look at like your area and what would work out best for you. I really do regret doing the hard switch like that. I definitely could have eased it in on the way, but I mean, it is what it is. You live and you learn, and you truck on.
Absolutely. One of my favorite quotes is someone asked another person, if you could go back and do anything differently, what would you do? And their answer was nothing. Because while I made mistakes, every single action, every single choice that I made led me into where I am today. So it might not have been the best decision, might not have been the best possible thing that you could do, but at the end of the day, it still led you to where you are.
Yeah, there's a life quote in something similar to that too, where who makes the best pottery pot? The person who tries 1,000 times or the person who spends 1,000 days trying to make the perfect one? And it's the person who does 1,000 ends up making the perfect one because they went through all the mistakes to make it perfect.
Yep. It's all about getting those reps in. So what does your business look like today, Cisco?
I'm still putting out a good 30 to 40K in rev. There's a lot of life events going on that have taken a lot of my time and attention, but I'm still there grinding. I do all of my sourcing, and I've been able to build up a nice catalog where a VA at my scale doesn't really make sense. For the most part, really rely on the catalog of items that I've sold in the past. A lot of them are replenishable, and I've been able to still crush easily without having to spend 20 hours a week sourcing.
Yeah, that's really important. A lot of people, like, you look on Twitter, or I'll call it X, Instagram, Discord groups, whatever it is, they flash these big numbers, and then we like to compare ourselves to that. But everyone has different goals. What really is important out of this business and anything that you do in life is that you're achieving what you want your goals to be, and not comparing and getting stuck in that trap of comparing to, oh, I need to put up 500K a month because this person is.
Yeah, 100%. And then Sean Cannell, Ryan
Shout
Cook's
out
YouTube
Sean
channel, he
Sean
had
Cannell we
something to.
trust.
Oh, absolutely. But he does say something along the lines of those are just vanity metrics, right? So he talks about subscribers for YouTube as being vanity metrics. And I feel like the equivalent for, Amazon sellers is going to be the orange bars, because those orange bars are given to you without context, right? So they're meant to be flashy, kind of like a gold chain or an expensive Lamborghini. They're meant to call attention. And if anybody's read, your next door neighbor could be a millionaire and you'll never know because they have a Honda Prius or aren't putting out there any courses or flashing their huge orange bars.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say your goals are for this business? What is your why behind running this Amazon thing?
Yeah, so I think my why initially started with just having a little bit of security in mind with the unknown certainty of the world that was going on, right? So having some additional income coming in was definitely helpful. Because of the world health event that happened, it derailed some of our plans in our 9-to-5 jobs that we had, right? Things became in a standstill. Luckily, we were in an area where they were considered essential. So none, me or my wife didn't, lose our jobs or anything, but there was definitely a hiring freeze, right? So it didn't leave any room for growth or anything like that for a while, for probably the last 2 years. I mean, they've just not this past year, but the last 2 years prior to that. So it just gave a little bit of security of mind, having those extra funds. And then for a long time, it just became a really fun game, like getting that nice dopamine hit, allowing it to, pay for things that otherwise you might not have, right?
Hashtag Amazon paid for it.
Hashtag Amazon paid for it. And if anybody knows or anybody follows me, they know I'm a huge, huge Disney fan. And I would say, regardless, Amazon, no Amazon, we would have still probably gone to Disney World once or twice a year. But it has allowed us to travel to Disney in Orlando a lot more frequently because of this business. We were able to, well, the wedding was already planned, but we were able to help fund a second wedding because we had a little bit of a disaster happen the first time go around. And we were able to help some family and friends, come and join us in the celebration, which again, otherwise without this business, without, the hard work that was put into it, we wouldn't have been able to. So I would say my why is to continue having experiences with my friends, my family, my close ones, and being able to be secure in my finances for myself and be able to help out any friends that may need it.
Love it. Love it. And viewers, I encourage you, if you're in Amazon FBA, if you're thinking about getting into it, or whether you're in any kind of other business endeavor, try to nail in on your why, because that's going to help you decide if it's something that you actually need to be doing. And whenever things get tough, going back to your why and remembering why you started is going to help you be able to power through that.